everybody, welcome back to Samara Builds, where I'm building a better life. This is a follow-up on my video where I first talked about my self-harm experience. So if you haven't watched that one, I would recommend checking that out. I'm going to start the way I always do, saying I'm not a professional, I'm not a therapist, not a doctor, not a anything. I'm just talking about my experience. So take what I say with that knowledge, just that I'm not a professional. Okay, so I still am not, I'm still not like so comfortable talking about this subject like this in this format. Last time I just did like some pampering for my face. And this time I decided to clean out my nightstand drawer. We'll see if this works. Thanks for being here already. If you feel like it, like this video, if you're into mental health, if you're into building a better life, subscribe, because that's what I'm all about. That's what I want to share. That's what I want to put out in the world. Here we go. Let's get into it. So, like I talked about in my previous self-harm video, self-harm is hard to move past because, as odd as it sounds, it does make you feel better. And so I'm just going to start cleaning out this drawer while I talk. We'll see how this goes. I think you need to determine what about the self-harm, like what it's doing for you. So if you need that feeling of pain, there are different ways to achieve that feeling in a safe way, like working out. It takes longer, but it works, and it's one that I really recommend because there's obviously just a ton of benefits to it. If you need something that is a little bit faster, you can put your hands in like ice water. That's nice and shocking to your system and does provide a little bit of pain. Obviously, that's something you need to be careful with so you don't like freeze your hands or whatever. 5 seconds in, I'm already like dissociating. If you need like the ritual aspect, because for me, part of the self-harm experience was the whole experience, was thinking about it so much, planning it, and then when I would do it, it wasn't just like, there was a whole ritual. And so it can be helpful to replace your ritual with a different ritual and make it something cool and fun and enjoyable. So I knew a girl who got really into like tarot cards, and so that was like her new ritual. She would, clean her space, and she would set up like a table for it, and she would light certain candles, and she still got something out of the experience. I thought that was super cool. That was like a cool ritual to replace it with. I'm trying to think, do I have a ritual? For me, painting is a good ritual because it's the same thing. Like, I get to think about it beforehand of like, what do I want to paint? Sort of plan it out in my head. I need to set up my space, and I can really let my feelings out onto the paper. And I have painted some really dark shit, and I recommend that because it can really be therapeutic and not hurt you. So I really recommend that. Does anybody else just have the most random stuff in your nightstand drawer? Cigarette gum, a huge rubber band, alcohol pad, a little rock. This is why I'm cleaning it out. You know, these silly things remind me of the video I did last week, which was, you know, how to heal yourself through your inner child, connecting with your inner child, which is really powerful work and something that's really helped me a lot. And part of what has helped me not self-harm is to imagine that if I do self-harm, it's to my 5-year-old self. And I don't think of it in like a shameful way, but just a way of like, would I hurt her? No, I wouldn't. So that can be a way to think about it, is like, how would you want your 5-year-old self to be treated if they were feeling this way? They probably would want a hug instead of to be hurt. They probably would want to be heard. They probably would want to feel validated, not shut down, not hurt. And if that 5-year-old self doesn't resonate with you, think of something younger, like yourself as a baby. Does that baby deserve to be hurt? No. No, they don't. And like I said, that's not coming from a place of shame. It's not like a shameful thing that you or anybody self-harms, because it's a coping mechanism. There are better ones. But yeah, don't think of like, oh, you're such a bad person, because a good person wouldn't hurt their 5-year-old selves. That's not what we're doing. It's just, yeah. My grandma got me this wand, like not that long ago, very much into adulthood. And one of my nephews broke it and I need to fix it, but it just brings me such joy. I'm just quoting myself in my last video, but like, do silly things that bring you joy. That is ultimately the best defense against all the sadness and pain and hurt in our world right now, I think, for me. And I'm right. As scary as this sounds, and maybe this isn't for everybody, but this has been beneficial for me, is just allowing myself the option of harming. I have to try 7 things first, and if I don't feel any amount better by the 7th thing, then I can self-harm. But I always feel better doing the other things, and other things are like working out, connecting with people, so getting together with my support system that I know love me very much and that I can be open with and say, hey, I'm not doing this right now, but I have had these feelings and I just want you to be aware of that. I'm so lucky to have people like that. And if you don't have people like that, seek them out and be that person for other people. Work out, connect with people, do some actual self-care, not take a bubble bath, but maybe take a bubble bath. Maybe that's one of your things, and that would be awesome. But like, really think about it. Like, have I really taken care of myself this week? Getting enough sleep, enough good nutrition, putting up boundaries, things like that. Sometimes I just feel like I really need some stimulation on my skin, and so I will just draw on my skin. I'll draw like flowers around my self-harm scars or things like that, because that's another way to take away the shame. And shame is a big feeling for me when it comes to self-harm. It's a big shame cycle. And so if I can break that, it helps. Here's another like controversial opinion. I feel like people who get a lot of tattoos are self-harmers. But it's just like the socially acceptable version. So I'm not saying go out and get tattoos instead of self-harming, but maybe if you've got the money and the ideas and the time, like, there's worse things to do. Get a piercing. I don't know. So drawing flowers and smiley faces, and for me it's kind of celebrating those scars and how far I've come. When I was in the self-harm phase of my life, I was living like, if you talk about like your moods or your outlook on life on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, I was in the low times, like 1, 2, like pretty dark, pretty down. And I was so angry at the world that I wasn't having 10s. Where now I live my life between like 3 and 7, which is awesome. Though that's like a really bad day and a really good day these days. And if I start to dip below that, I let people know. I let my support system know. Hey, just so you know, this is how I'm feeling. I tell my support system, I tell my therapist. We're all on board. Because when I would self-harm, sometimes it was a punishment and sometimes it was a reward. So like if I did certain things throughout the week that I was supposed to do, I would like reward myself with self-harming. Or if I was really just feeling horrible, it would be like a punishment reward thing. It was a 2-in-1. Celebrate your achievements, however little, however big. I've been talking to my therapist about this. Like, in our society, we send out things for like, I graduated college and I'm getting married and I'm having a baby. And those are all awesome things and definitely worth celebrating. But there are so many other things that are worth celebrating. Like, just with my ACE score, I should have an alcohol or drug problem. I should have much bigger mental issues than I do. And that's no shame to people who have those things. I'm just saying, I'm proud of myself for how far I've come. It's been over 10 years since I attempted suicide. And I want to celebrate these things, and I'm going to. I just need to figure out exactly how to do it. But this is all to say, celebrate yourself. If it's been a week since you self-harmed, tell a friend. Like, that's awesome. That's so big. I'm so proud of you. If you finally enrolled for college after telling yourself you're going to do it for 7 years, I want to send you a congratulations card. Like, that is so cool. If you finally paid off your car loan, that's so, like, good job. Like, give yourself a little pat on the back and the belly. That's a reference to an old video, but like, celebrate life and all your achievements, as silly or as small as they may feel. You are worth celebrating. I'm doing a bad job at this because this probably wasn't the best idea of 2 things to do at the same time, but now I know. If you are working on quitting self-harming, I'm so sorry. That's hard. And I feel like it's double hard because people don't get how hard it is unless they've been through it or like something similar. Be gentle with yourself. If you slip up and relapse or whatever you want to call it, tell a friend, tell someone you love, and tomorrow's a new day. There is infinite hope that tomorrow can be a little bit better than today. And that's really powerful. If you're trying to quit self-harming, just think of that part of yourself that you do love. Maybe it's that child version of you. Maybe it's who you were on one day you can look back and think like, man, I was so proud of how I acted in that moment. Maybe it's who you're trying to become. Like when you think of a better future, maybe it's that person. But when you go to self-harm, just remember that part that you love and let that let that love envelop you. Let that love protect you, because you deserve better. You do. And it's hard work. But if you do it, you can get there and you can feel that. Like I feel that. I know that. And like I said in my earlier video, I still think about self-harming every day. Like today at work, I saw these razor blades. I work in the medical industry. And they're like medical razor blades, sterilized. And I thought, like, just off the gut reaction was, oh, I should take one of those. No, I shouldn't. I didn't. I won't. But if you still have thoughts like that, I just want you to know it's okay. Our brains are just like friggin' lazy weirdos that are like, oh, let's go down this easiest path, even though it's a little bit self-destructive. And that's okay. I'm like, you know what, brain? Still love you. Thanks for keeping me alive this far. We're doing it different ways now, but thank you. Whew. If you're struggling, I'm so sorry. And I'm there with you. If you've quit self-harming, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And take a moment to be proud of yourself. If you love someone who self-harms, just keep on loving them. Leave some comments, leave some love for any other people who are going through it. Let me know what other videos you guys want. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.